When I ask what the best-selling vehicle in the US is, the easy answer has long been the Ford F-150. Well, guess what? That's actually not correct anymore. After literal decades of domination, the F-150 has finally slid to second place. Sure, if you count the F-Series instead of just F-150, it's still king, but the singular model that's ousted the F-150, it's the Toyota RAV4. Ford can argue until they're blue in the face, wink, but the fact of the matter is that the RAV4 is a sales king for Toyota. They sold 475,193 of them just last year. In fact, Toyota has broken past the 400,000 unit mark each year since 2017. So if you're shopping for a car, there's a decent chance the Toyota RAV4 is on your list. But do you need to buy the newest one? What about the past models? Let's walk through the different generations of the Toyota RAV4 and see which one is right for you. What the heck does RAV4 even mean? I think Toyota itself might be a bit confused on that, as I found both robust, accurate vehicle with four-wheel drive and recreational, active vehicle with four-wheel drive mentioned. I think the recreational one is more commonly used, but regardless, it's the RAV4, and it started off as a funky little pseudo off-roader with charming style. The first generation of the RAV4 launched initially in 1994 for the Japanese market. The first one to show up on our shores landed in 1996. Powering these early models, you'll find a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine cranking out a then not too shabby 120 horsepower. These were offered as 2- or 4-door models and fitted with either a 5-speed manual gearbox or a 4-speed automatic. You also have a choice between front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Here's where it gets more interesting too, as some all-wheel drive models have a button labeled diff lock. Now, don't get too excited, as this isn't a rear locker. From what I've gathered on the World Wide Web, is that the diff lock button exists on all-wheel drive manual gearbox cars. It locks the center diff and can send an even amount of power front and rear. On automatic equipped all-wheel drive cars, it's supposed to handle this automatically when it detects slip. But despite the name, this isn't a true 4x4 system, and there is no 4-low. Still, it's a fun little pseudo off-roader that can try to live up to its name if you slap proper tires on it, and you can cosplay as a little Wrangler too, as Toyota started offering a soft-top 2-door version in 1998. Another interesting part of this first-gen lineup is the RAV4 EV, which was built from 1997 through 2003. The public could only buy them for a period in 2002, and only in California. If you find one for sale, it's a rare machine for sure, but it only has a 27 kilowatt-hour battery pack and the range is 120 miles, back when the batteries were fresh. It's odd that the EV continues through to 2003, but the regular first-gen RAV4 ends with the 2000 model year. There are about 19 listed for sale on Autotrader at the moment, and prices range from under $1,000 for basically salvage title examples on up to less than $7,000. There are 2 on Autotrader Classics, but when you see they're being sold by Duncan Imports, you could probably guess that these are right-hand drive models imported from Japan. Still, if you were interested in one of those, Duncan Imports is one of the best places to buy such a vehicle from. Toyota revised the RAV4 for the 2001 model year. This marks the start of Gen 2 examples. Sadly, here in the US, we were only getting 4-door versions, while the rest of the world could still order up the 2-doors. Regardless, this new version sits a bit longer and a bit wider, which means more room inside. You can still choose between a front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive version. Power is doled out via a 150 horsepower 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, and you still get to choose between a 5-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic gearbox. Partway through the second-gen run, Toyota gave the car a style upgrade. The automaker improved the overall safety standard of the vehicle and even added on vehicle stability control. Further, the engine bumps up to a newer 2.4-liter mill, making 160 horsepower. The prices on these second-gen examples seem to range from about $5,000 to $6,000 for clean, higher mileage units, on up to the low $10,000 in teens for those with under $100,000 on the odometer. Moving on to the third gen, the RAV4 is once again restyled and now rides on an all-new platform. Though some markets get a short wheelbase version, our only option here in the States is the longer 4-door. This allows Toyota to create a version with an optional third row. I wouldn't want to sit back there as a full-grown adult, but maybe you can squeeze small children back there as needed. The big news with the third gen models is that Toyota now offers a V6 alongside that still available 4-cylinder. This is a very healthy jump in power, as the 3.5-liter mill makes 270 horsepower. There are more creature comforts inside and more safety features still being added as well. Partway through the run, the 2009 model year sees the 2.4-liter four-cylinder become a 2.5-liter and power rises to 178 horsepower. The four-cylinder still uses the 4-speed, but the V6 gets a 5-speed automatic. Sadly, there's no more manual offering, but the take rate by this point is likely approaching zero anyway. Production of the third gen goes from 2006 to 2012 for the US market, and there are over 1,000 of them for sale on Autotrader right now. Prices range from under 10 grand to just over 18,000 for this awesome example with barely 32,000 miles on it. Before the third gen run is up, Toyota delivers another electric version. This one is a joint venture with Tesla. Around 2,500 were built and it was only offered for sale in California. These feature a nearly 42 kilowatt-hour battery pack paired with an electric motor rated for just over 150 horsepower. The range is around 100 miles. It's not a very exciting electric vehicle outside of the general nostalgia for limited run vehicles. Alright, onward to the 4th gen RAV4s. These run from 2013 up to 2018, and here is where I think they lose a bit of the old school cool. Obviously, the interiors and powertrains keep improving, but the 4th gen ditches the side open door and rear mount spare tire in favor of a traditional liftgate. Also, we say goodbye to the V6 with the 4th gen. Instead, you can spec either the 2.5-liter four-cylinder or, for the first time, Toyota offers the RAV4 as a hybrid. You can still choose between front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and that's with either powertrain. Even better is Toyota ditching that 4-speed in favor of a fresh 6-speed automatic. Part of the way through the 4th gen model run, Toyota delivers a slight style refresh inside and out starting with the 2016 models. The headlights and taillights are different and the cabin gets a nicer gauge cluster display. Okay, let's jump to the current version, the 5th gen RAV4. Yes, it feels like it's been around for a bit now as it arrived for the 2019 model year, but this one did get a fresh underpinning with a move to the TNGA platform. Along with that, we have some pretty great upgrades related to the dynamic abilities of the RAV4. The 2.5-liter engine has been revised. It's paired with an 8-speed automatic and makes 203 horsepower. Over on the hybrid model, you have 219 horsepower. All-wheel drive models are offered with an optional torque vectoring all-wheel drive system, as well as the ability to disconnect the rear-driven wheels when not needed to reduce fuel consumption. This all-wheel drive system is standard on the gas-only limited and adventure trims. Standard on all of the all-wheel drive gas-only models is multi-terrain select drive mode selector, so you can cosplay as a TRD Pro driver. Toyota Safety Sense 2.0 is standard on all 5th gen models. You have better sound systems available, and all of the interior fit, finish, and tech is pretty darn nice for the segment. Back to that TRD notion though, as Toyota does actually introduce the TRD off-road model in 2020. This one gets the torque vectoring all-wheel drive, unique suspension tuning, slightly more ground clearance, and all-terrain tires on 18-inch wheels. Finally, the last bit of the 5th gen puzzle is the introduction of the plug-in hybrid version, initially called the RAV4 Prime. Toyota has already dropped the Prime name. Regardless, this one packs north of 300 horsepower, can cruise to over 40 miles on electric power alone, and will rip from 0 to 60 in well under 6 seconds. It's efficient and quick, and also more expensive compared to other RAV4 models. Okay, so we've got 5 generations of the Toyota RAV4 for you to choose from, and I can see a reason to go with one of the OGs and one of the modern fancy pants versions too. Which RAV4 speaks most to you? Were I shopping? I'd need that rear-mounted spare and the side-opening door. I still prefer the old-school stuff.